It's time for Losses Above Replacement, the best baseball podcast to grace your ears, with your hosts, Alex.
Plus, I have so many questions. Also, where's my car?
Splash.
Strive to love something as much as my grandmother loves buying new crock pots.
And Mac.
If you've ever been to Boston, you know that they have amazing ice cream.
Coming to you from coast to coast, it's L-A-R.
So you know when I think of things when I have free time and I shouldn't? Yes. When the first person invented the clock, how did they know what time it is? That's a really good question. You know, there is a sundial they might have used. Is that accurate, though? I guess it's as accurate as it can be.
Are you reading something, Splash, or have you just lost your mind? I'm not quite sure.
Alex, you watched the Mariners play the Philadelphia Phillies this week.
Absolutely. They're playing right now, and they're currently
Unfortunately, you are probably watching the Mariners broadcast, not the Phillies broadcast. I am quoting, paraphrasing.
Oh, you are. I know
the Phillies broadcast.
John Kruk.
And our dearest beloved John Kruk, known 300 hitter, known avoider of hit by pitches, both literally and the Randy Johnson clip.
Yes.
Like that, he had like 2 hit by pitches in his entire career, and he played for like 15 years. So good job. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Losses Above Replacement. I'm your host, Splash. Today we are joined by Chicken Parm fan, a.k.a. Mac, and still a month to go, ellipses, insert open parentheses, Alex the Sports Guy, close parentheses, a.k.a. Alex. How are we doing, fellas?
Thank you very much. Their brick background did Splash. Here it is it's an interesting time over here. I don't know what's going on with my Mariners, and it makes me very worried because they are both them and the Astros are playing like crap. And it's like, okay, yeah, you're not losing any ground in the division, but you are losing ground in wild card. And if you don't figure out what's going on here, and somehow the Astros do, now you're going to be out of a playoff spot again.
Yeah, I was saying before the show, this might be partially my fault. The Mariners didn't lose a single game while I was in Washington. On the flip side, the Mets didn't win a single game while I was in Washington. So I don't know. I don't know what to do there. But the Mets lost Francisco Alvarez today, which sucks. He finally figured out how to hit. But we'll see what goes on from there. I'm doing all right. I swam in an outdoor public pool the last 2 days where it is filled with tap water. So it is very, very cold in the water. This is what happens when your main pool is closed until Labor Day. It happens every summer for 2 weeks. They close for maintenance. So, yeah, that's how my day's going. I'm just kind of chilling. My sister's in town until I believe next Wednesday. So, yeah, it's just us hanging out kind of. But, yeah, that's how things are going in my world.
With the pool, yeah, you definitely are chilling. I get it.
Yeah, literally. I could not feel my legs when I got out of the water. And then I know yesterday I was like, did I do something to my shoulder? Because the thing is, I just kind of have to keep moving so that I don't like get hypothermia or something. So, yeah, really shocks your system.
Have any of you guys ever like had your leg go to sleep and then try to stand up?
Yes, it happens to me a lot. And it hurts.
That one time I was getting interviewed on something, and I stood up and I immediately fell over. I'm like, oh, there we go.
Yeah, been there. It's like the deep cut. This is how Greg Heffley broke his arm in.
That is a classic.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Like he was sitting on a toilet and just, I don't know if he was like reading something or reading the newspaper, like on a tablet or whatever. And his leg falls asleep. He stands up, he falls over, and he hits his arm on the
I am quite glad we just got a Diary of a Wimpy Kid reference in because I loved the Diary of Wimpy Kid books when I was a kid.
Iconic series.
Great series.
Shout out to
Jeff Kinney.
Yeah,
and he's still putting them out.
Yeah. I mean, it was like prime time to be a kid when those were coming out.
Oh my god!
And then now that there's even more, so it's kind of like, were you guys Did you guys read Magic Treehouse as kids?
A little bit, yes.
Okay. So like when I was in kindergarten, the kindergarten teacher like would read them, but they were still coming out. Like they were like started to come out in like the late 90s, early 2000s. So I was always like hyped up for the new releases, right? So that's like the best time to be a fan of a book series is when they're still producing it. Like the Rick Riordan, Percy Jackson series.
Oh my God, yeah.
I got to be a really big fan when the second set was coming out. It's like perfect timing.
Yeah, so actually Rick Riordan came to my middle school when my brother was in 6th grade. And so we have one of the original copies that doesn't have like a real cover on it. It's just like the bare bones design on the book. So that's the first one that I started reading. And I remember when I was in 3rd grade and the 5th book came out, and that was like everyone in the grade was going crazy for it. That again, wow. The Lightning Thief and Diary of a Wimpy Kid, those were essential parts of my childhood.
Absolutely. Amen to that. I still have I think I have all of them at home still.
Oh, same.
Although one of them, maybe like the 9th book in the series, I have like it's hardcover and the rest aren't hardcover, so it's very weird. It's sort of like
a whole bunch of books behind me, so
it's sort of like the season 6 box of The Simpsons being Homer's head, but in plastic or in like a over plastic, as opposed to just like your normal, your normal discs, right? For your Xbox games, your Wii games, or your DVDs. Well, the Simpsons season 6 is like, whoa, humongous. So you know what else is humongous? Rob Manfred's proposal for realignment. He wants 32 teams in MLB. This is not his graphic, to be clear. I don't know if he would approve of the graphic, but we have some graphics. I believe this is courtesy of ESPN. So fellas, a team in Nashville, a team in Portland, 8 divisions of 4 teams. The Braves look like they are going to have a payroll that is twice the size of the other 3 teams in their division combined. You have the Mets and Yankees playing together. That's really creepy. Dodgers and Angels are together. The A's and Giants are separate, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. Fellas, what's your 30,000 foot takeaway of the realignment proposal?
So, I mean, what I still find weird about all this is that he decided to drop the idea during the Little League Classic game. Like, just randomly in an interview brought up the idea, oh yeah, we're thinking about doing this. We're thinking about doing this. Like, I'm sorry, you're not just going to make like a news conference about that? Just going to drop that one during the game. You know what? Honestly, fair. I love the idea of this because I think that this helps make travel, especially for teams, so much better here. And I think it's going to be a little bit more interesting for when it comes playoff time as well, like trying to figure out how the seedings are going to work here. I think it's going to be a little bit more fun. We've seen that it works with the NFL. This feels like a very mix of NFL and NBA playoffs here, or not even playoffs, sorry, separation. Because now you have the same kind of 4-4-4-4 system that the NFL has here, but the Eastern and Western idea that the NBA puts into things. And I think, honestly, that's a beautiful combination here. You have a lot of teams right now that have to travel a lot, and with how the season goes now, where you play every team in your league twice, once at home, once away, and then every interleague team once here, and where rotates either being home or away. This having it like this, where your teams are a lot closer for the games that you mostly play, that helps out a lot travel-wise, because the more travel you do, the more it really adds up. Here, I know like people like us don't often think about how bad travel can get here with when you're traveling every 3 days, every 4 days here, getting on a plane, flying for another 5 hours here. That really does wear on a body, especially over the long marathon that is a baseball season. So I love the idea, if anything, because it means that now the majority of your games are going to be a lot closer to you in some way, shape, or form. and you're you're lessening the amount of games that you have to travel a long, long way for.
Here's my question. Sorry to cut you off, Splash, but
all good.
My whole question here is, and I think expansion is definitely in the cards here. I think it's been in the cards for a while. My question is about scheduling. First and foremost, are we still going to have interleague play? Is interleague play going to be the way it is right now, where you face every team every season? Or is it going to go back to the old way where you face like a certain division every year plus your regional rival? Like the Mets would still face the Yankees, but maybe, they just face, the AL, let's call it the AL South one year, or the AL North one year. That's just my whole question. Also, something that he hinted at is expanding the playoffs too. What are the playoffs going to look like? Is it going to be 8 teams now per side? Is it going to, maybe it's 6 again still? Or I have a few questions. I don't think this is a bad idea, actually. I think expansion's kind of long overdue. It was 1998 was the last time we added any expansion teams. So I'm curious to see how this shakes out, because it's not a bad concept. I think some markets deserve a major league team, and maybe this is the opportunity for it.
So according to the ESPN article, it's suggested there's a 156 game season, which is slightly longer than the traditional 154 game season that came before the expansion era, but not as long as today's schedule. So this would take out a week of games. So that would be an extra week of off, or an extra week worth of off days throughout the season. It would be in the 32 team setup, 8 divisions. You'd have 3 games against each team in the other league. So East Division teams, you'd have 3 games against West Division teams, and then 12 games against your division rivals. So in this case, the Braves would play the Nashville team, the Rays team, and the Marlins, 12 games apiece, and then 6 against intra-league opponents. So that would be, for example, the A's and Giants would play 6 times, 2 home series. There's some other options they have to get to 154, 160, or 162. So if you want to be a March shot and you don't want to give up the gate receipts, then you can have 162. I'm for realignment. Let me be clear. I'm for realignment and get it to 32. In theory, you have all 4 of the big 4 North American sports at 100 or at 32 teams apiece. These circles trigger me. They make me sad.
I'm kind of going to agree with you. All right.
I'm just going to explain some rivalries that are lost here. Braves, Mets, Braves, Phillies. Are we serious? If you are honestly, if you are a Phillies fan or a Mets fan and you approve of this, I question your brain power. I question your sanity, and I question your true hatred of the Atlanta Braves. If you're a Mets fan or Phillies fan, are you going to sign up for the Braves dominating a market or dominating a division with 2 teams that don't spend in Florida and an expansion team?
If you want the honest answer here, Mets fans are begging to stop facing the Braves.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
That's the other thing, right? Like, as I agree with you on that point, especially when it comes to rivalries here, but I also think that this has a chance to breed new rivalries as well.
Here. I agree.
In this graph, again, mine's slightly different, although very similar. I'm very shocked that it's actually kind of similar. You're gonna have a lot of different rivalries that I don't think you ever would have had here. Like in this graphic here, Seattle and Arizona being a rivalry that has been already, like, the 2 have done a lot of trading together, so now they're going to be going against each other a lot more.
Yeah,
so those trades are going to be
rivalry.
More. Yeah, hey, we might get them.
Look, Arizona and Seattle's a rivalry in football, so you know,
exactly.
It
so tracks, yeah. And then again, when you have the expansion teams in there, that's going to breed even more new rivalries here. But here's my problem overall is that I can't accept the idea of losing rivalries as a problem here, because you're going to do that regardless. Here, I think no matter which division, if you're losing a team in a division, you are automatically going to lose a rival. I mean, heck, even if you just lost the Marlins out of the NL East, it wouldn't feel as much like the NL East anymore. Yes, you would still have the big rivalry. Yeah, absolutely. But you're still going to have your other rivalries here. You're still going to have the Phillies and the Mets getting very angry at each other here. But now you get to add in Boston and New York to that mix.
Okay.
So now
you make a valid point.
Mets and Yankees in the same division might cause
okay.
Who knows what's going to happen?
The heat death of the universe.
The heat death of the universe will come from the fact that in one division you will have Philadelphia Phillies fans, Mets fans, Yankees fans, and Boston Red Sox fans.
Oh my God, that will be
all of that
so
in one
toxic.
division. To be fair, I'm not gonna. All right, I'll say this outright. When I was making my thing, I was considering making fun.
Do you want me to pop it up, Alex?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I was considering making fun names for the divisions. I decided against it, but my name for that one was TM Toxic. But
that's accurate.
Because I'm like, look, here's the joke is like those are all four of the teams. Like, let's be real here for a second. You take a look at the top 10 most toxic fan bases that people vote on. Those are in the top 5.
These four. These
those four
right
and
there,
Dodgers
man.
fans.
Yeah,
right there.
And Astros fans, but that's me thing. But no, yeah. So I think that this is a very interesting. You're going to lose rivalries, but I think you're also going to gain some new ones here that I think are going to be very interesting.
Okay, I'll concede that, and it's better than the NBA rivalry weekend they have planned.
True.
Because even as a Cavs fan, apparently we're big rivals with the Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah, well, here's the thing: is that right now, so MLB has rivalry weekend. Mm-hmm. They tried it out for the first time this year, but it felt like it was like Mets Yankees. I believe it was Dodgers Angels. It was all the regional rivalries, but it wasn't actually if I'm thinking biggest rival, the Yankees are not the first team I think of when it's who's the Mets' biggest rival? Immediately, I go to the Braves.
It's Braves, yeah,
exactly.
I mean, if you think the Yankees' biggest rival is not the Red Sox,
yeah, no,
there's a problem with
Sox.
you.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make a quote here from one of my favorite video games, The Bigs 2. Here says there are amazing rivalries all throughout history. David versus Goliath, man versus woman. It's like man versus woman, and then you have Boston versus New York. And I'm like, yeah, that's just accurate.
Valid.
Yeah. That's why I like this division, like the one that I have up here on this one, at the very least, because you still have New York and Boston in there, and you still have very, very powerful fan bases and teams in that division.
That is true. And yeah, you get to boost the crosstown rivalries in Chicago and LA and New York, of course. So I guess there is some value there. You split up the Pennsylvania team, so less frequent poop games. You keep the Texas teams together. That's nice. So the Florida teams are together. I know the Braves are getting universally applauded for how they would come out as bandits in this universe. It does depend on what Nashville manifests as a team. But yeah, I guess that'd be, from a winning baseball games perspective, it would probably be nice to not play the Phillies 10 times a year. But hey, that's whatever. So
fair
Alex, do you want us to pop up your graphic?
Yeah, sure. I will say this, not my best drawing work, so I do apologize for that here, but I have all my arguments here planned out, as well as how I would put everything together. So there we go. All right, so let's start us off here. I did not follow the same naming conventions for the divisions. I went with what sounded a little bit more realistic while not being an outright joke. I really wanted to go the idea of saying the toxic division and no. So what I got here is I'm going to try to see if I can I show it on this? No, I cannot. Can you guys see my mouse cursor?
Did you draw a picture around?
I haven't drawn anything.
No, then. Because there's a yellow circle.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, it's the Pirates logo. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, so here, I can kind of do it now, I think.
Yes.
So, all right, over here, this is the West Coast division. Here, where you have the Mariners, the Portland team, because I'm giving Portland an expansion in mind. the Giants and the Las Vegas A's, who I also think will probably change their name to Aces because Las Vegas.
I will say that is the WNBA team, but fair enough.
I know. Doesn't make it better. But one thing I will say, though, and I'm going to pitch something here to you guys as well. I've also named my expansion teams here for this. So for Portland, I'm going with the Portland Pages. So here's an interesting thing here. So Portland's actually very famous for its books and bookstores here. In fact, having one of the most famous bookstores in Powell's City of Books. Here, I think it would be an interesting idea here for them to lean into that, especially with a lot of the history that Portland's had lately. Let's go into something a little bit more about literature. And that really goes a little bit more into the city's history here, as well as the marketing gets really easy where you now get to start out this first year by saying a new chapter. And then you could keep it going more with saying like finish a story or write your story, stuff like that. So that works. I think that works out well. Then
what about the Portland Passengers? Because they're famous for the airport, according to the basketball team.
I mean, that also works too. I just also really like the idea, I like to sound the names out how I think like a PA announcer would say them. It doesn't sound good. So that's where I came from Pages.
Sure.
Next division I have here, I have the Southwest Division here, and this is the California and Arizona teams. I definitely could have put, the A's here or something like that, but I wanted to make Arizona. Or the Giants here, yeah. I want Arizona to be part of this here. You still have your big three here with Dodgers, Angels, and San Diego, but now they're all clumped in this very small area, and you're still keeping at least a semblance of what the AL West used to be here. So then next division I have here is, I will admit, this is probably the weirdest one for me, and yet apparently people agree, and that is the Southern Central Division, where we have Colorado here, the Royals, Texas, and Houston, purely because if you take a good look over here, there's not a lot to work with here on this, where you have just this huge dead zone of not much there, except for Colorado. So you kind of have to make it work here a bit. And I think that's still, like, distance-wise, it makes sense to go with the Texas teams and then the next one over to the east, which is the Royals. It hurts that I don't have the Royals and the Cardinals even in the same division. Heck, not even in the same league at this point. But we'll get to that. Then my last division in the American League here is the North Central with the Twins, the Brewers, the White Sox, and the Cubs. You got to have White Sox and Cubs in the same division. I think you gotta. That was my thing, is I feel like you have to do it. And then put these two here. Because I think that if you're going to do geographical realignment, you got to put teams that at least are in the same city together. Like, I feel like that, otherwise you go against the very idea of it. Slash, you guys say something on
that? Can we acknowledge you're splitting up the Giants and Dodgers and Cubs and Cardinals?
Yeah, I know. I'm aware.
Cubs and Cardinals?
Yep, I'm aware.
Yeah,
believe it or not,
I was wondering about that too, but honestly, you also are keeping the Cubs and Brewers together, and Cubs White Sox. Cubs White Sox would be. I mean, we talk about how toxic Mets Yankees is, but then there's Cubs White Sox, which at least in the old days used to be really physical. Listen, I'm not talking about just the players, by the way.
Listen here, like we were saying during the last bit, you're gonna lose some rivalries. You're also gonna gain some rivalries during all of this.
Also, I'm gonna be honest, respectfully to anyone who's listening who might actually be a White Sox fan. I have never met someone from Chicago who's actually a White Sox fan.
Oh, I have some family members that are White Sox fans.
Okay, because basically everyone I know from that area is a Cubs fan.
So those are the four divisions I have in the American League, the AL. And the only reason why the left side is the AL, one, I like the American League more. But two, you have the one Canadian team in the National League and not in the American League. Yes, this still bothers me.
Okay, that is a valid concern.
That's actually the first time I even thought of that. Wow.
Like that, legit, this is something that people continuously that don't know baseball ask me, like, why is the one Canada team in the American League? And I'm like, Boy, I don't know. But
I mean, there used to be a second Canadian team, to be fair.
There
that
did
was the
used to be a
National
second
League.
Canadian team, and
Yes.
now they became something else.
And I mean, hey, Atlanta used to be in the West Division, so
Yeah.
Major League
And the Cubs
Baseball is
used to-
not exactly geographically intelligent.
The Cubs and Cardinals were in the East, all right?
And that's why we're trying to fix it all. That's what all this
Fair.
is about. All right, so then going over to my National League side of things here. Let's start out here with this division. Again, I'm just trying to go with what makes sense a little more geographically with all the other teams. Not even if it's not like the absolute closest, you're still going to make some stuff work here. This division is the North Central, where it is Tigers, Guardians, Reds, and Cardinals. Next division down is the Southeast Division with the Miami Marlins, the Tampa Bay Rays, Atlanta Braves, and my Nashville expansion team. So that's the other one I had here. The team name I have for this one, given the huge music influence there in Nashville, I'm calling them the Nashville Rhythms. Here, I think that would be that's a solid name here, and you got a lot to work with there already. Plus, with Grand Ole Opry not too far from there, you could definitely have a little bit of fun with that. Next up, this area that is such a pain because you take just this part of the area, there are 6 teams all within the span of like 100, 200 miles. Like
The
there's not
Beltway.
much.
Or the northeast corridor.
Yeah, the Northeast Corridor, exactly. So you have to find a way to make it work here. And so that's kind of what I ended up going with. I made the Northeast Division. That is the earlier mentioned Toronto Blue Jays, Boston Red Sox, New York Mets, and New York Yankees. Then one division down from there is I'm calling this the East Central, because it is the central of the East border. Again, naming sucks for this. I will try to even be remotely accurate. Where I have Pittsburgh, the Phillies, Orioles, and the Nationals here. And so one thing I did want to address here, we talked about it for a brief moment. I think when you have a realignment like this here, I think rivalry weekend might actually mean something again, because as you said, we are cutting out a lot of very historic, famous rivalries here that are still in division. I think you can now use rivalry weekend a lot better when some of the other teams that were kind of forced to be in a division together are no longer there together anymore. You could definitely now have Braves v Mets here. You could definitely now have, again, Phillies v Boston, or I don't know. No, you can definitely have Cubs Cardinals here. You can have those. You can have Royals Cardinals if you wanted to. Like, I still think a fun rivalry at this point would be Seattle and the Rays because of their trade history. So at that point here, I think that rivalry weekend makes this a lot more fun because it still appeals to the people that are missing that rivalry here, and it still keeps the history of it alive to a degree. Plus, just as a fun little bit here, that also means you could have some weird World Series ideas now again from this here, because in my league, you could have a Cardinals-Cubs World Series now. So, with that being said here, that's my idea for Realignment. I do apologize, the drawing is a little bit crude. I am not an artiste, but what do you guys think overall? Like, because I think I cooked on this, honestly.
I mean, okay, I'll say this much: I was not expecting to see Toronto in the same division with the Mets, Yankees, and Red Sox. I sort of get what you're saying though about the whole like the Northeast corridor kind of. I mean, you can literally take the Amtrak to any of these games from DC up to Boston. But I do wonder, about like the whole rivalry thing. How, I guess it would depend on how often the teams faced each other again.
So in my league, we still have it here like it is right now, where you play every interleague team here once, but you alternate here who is home and who is away. You play every team in your league once at home, once away here, and you play your division rivals the rest of that time. And I think even in a 4-team division, it still works here. If you want to, you even could add more games out of division here. But in this way, at the very least, the games that matter most are going to be played the most, but you're still seeing every team in some way, shape, or form. You're still going to have, your Toronto Blue Jays versus Colorado Rockies game. You're still going to have, a Texas Rangers versus Miami Marlins games. Just, again, it's once a year. You're still going to have, let's make another adage here. You're still going to have Mets and Braves. It's just going to be twice a year as opposed to 50 times a year. So with that being said here, I think it still works overall. Yeah, the division alignment here, I think you could go in a number of different ways. I just wanted to make sure that as I was making this, that I wasn't making any team go way out of place here. Like, one of my main things I wanted to avoid was making very gerrymandering shapes here, because at that point, then it feels like I'm working too hard to make something happen. The closest I have to that is honestly this one, I think. Here, because like even this one is, I'm just following along the coast. Here, like everything else is a pretty blunt shape.
Yeah, I remember what Manfred was saying was that he wants part of the reason why he wants realignment is to ease the travel schedule. In particular, I know that he referenced Boston having to travel to face the Angels or something frequently. But I still, that's the thing, is that I'm still of the school of thought that every team, it should be like the NBA where every team faces each other at some point. And to your point, I know that maybe they don't face each other as often, but it still does allow for the development of rivalries. Like, in the NBA, the Lakers and Celtics are rivals. They face each other every year, twice a year. The Cavs and Warriors, that's a rivalry in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Yankees Astros, I guess, is sort of a rivalry too in baseball. But I think, as long as these teams face each other, a few times a year, we can still have rivalries. And
exactly.
I think, look, even here, the Yankees and Red Sox are still in the same division. Phillies Pirates isn't necessarily a rivalry, but you'd finally get the two Pennsylvania teams in the division together.
Look, here's the thing: if Phillies and Pirates, you at least at that point, the one thing that needs to be done if you're gonna have this is you got to bring back the poop games. Bring back the poop scoreboard.
Exactly, of course.
Caveat: that was the word I was thinking of. Mm-hmm. Anyway, all right, that's my board. Who would like to show theirs next?
All right, Mac, walk us through your plan.
All right, so the challenge I gave myself here is trying to keep it so that we don't have any teams changing leagues. Still, it's not going to be like in '98 when we sent the Brewers to the National League, or like in 2013 when they were trying to balance the schedule, so they sent the Astros to the American League. We're not going to have any of that. I'm trying to keep all the National League teams that are currently in the National League still there. Same with the AL. So I'm going to start in the East. I have the National League East. I'm going with the Mets, the Phillies, the Nationals, and I threw the Pirates in there as the fourth team. Again, there were some teams where it was hard to find like an actual location for them. The Pirates are East enough where they're sort of right on that border of, are you the Midwest or are you the East Coast? Or are you the Northeast? So I put the Pirates there as my fourth team. Then I go to the National League North. I have the Reds, Cubs, Brewers, and Rockies. Again, the Rockies are probably the team that will it's going to be hard to travel for. Okay. And I'll say this for every team or every division, there's probably one team where you're like, all right, it's going to be hard for travel purposes, but it makes some sense that they're in there. So I put the Rockies in there, and then you move to the South. So I also have a Nashville expansion team. I think Nashville at this point, they have a minor league team. They're I think a pretty good sports market. They have the Predators. They have the Titans. I think they deserve a baseball team. So I have Nashville in the NL South with the Marlins, Braves, and Cardinals. Again, technically, St. Louis is the Midwest, I think. And it's actually further north than Cincinnati. But I think right here, I'm putting them in the South. And then the National League West, I have the three California teams. So Padres, Giants, and Dodgers. And I have the Diamondbacks. So any thoughts on my National League so far? I mean, it's like I said, each division, I feel like there's one team where it's like it was hard to sort of place them, but like I said, giving myself the restrictions of like keeping each team in the same league. I feel like this is the best I could come up with.
Yeah, I like keeping teams in the same league. It's like that. The Astros thing is a little weird. The Brewers thing, I wasn't around for it, but that's a little weird to think of historically. Or the Seahawks used to be an AFC team. They hopped over to the NFC, so you get some weird quirks like that. So I like that from a not necessarily logistics standpoint, but from a historical standpoint, keeping that the same.
Yeah. So, all right. Wait, Alex, any thoughts?
Yeah. I was trying to say I had a little issue there. For me, I like Nashville being another, but again, something we agreed on there. I think it's a very interesting challenge to make it so leagues don't change, because I think that when you're in a realignment bit, it's almost inevitable math-wise, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can do 3-3-3, but if the purpose of realignment is to, like, especially if you're going to do geographical realignment, if the purpose for it is to make sure that you're playing teams closer to you, then I don't feel like trying to keep in league is as important, but I definitely see, like, the appeal to it.
Yeah, I mean, the other concept I thought of, and I didn't end up going with this, is sort of going the NBA model of just East and West, which is possible, I think. Granted, some teams, I've noticed this in the NBA, like Minnesota is in the Western Conference. All right, I don't necessarily consider Minnesota in the West, or Memphis. Memphis is in the West. So you end up with quirky you end up with quirky placements like that, but. I'm going to move over to the American League, and I think the easiest thing to do was the East. Yankees, Red Sox, Orioles, Blue Jays makes sense. Plus, you keep their Yankees and Red Sox in the same division. Moving over to the North again, I think it's pretty straightforward. None of these teams are too far out of the way. Twins, White Sox, Guardians, and Tigers. And then you move over to the AL South, and this is where you do get some chaos, in my opinion. So the Rays, I feel like that makes sense. The Rangers, the Astros. So the two Texas teams, and then the Royals. Again, the Royals are in that gray area where they're not west enough to go in the AL West. They're not far enough north, I think, to be in the AL North. They're definitely not east enough to be in the AL East. So I stick them in the South here with the Rays, Rangers, and Astros. And then the AL West, I also have a Portland expansion team. I have Portland going with the Las Vegas A's, the Angels, and the Mariners. I think it'd be really great to have Portland and Seattle in the same division. Then you can actually have a regional rival for Seattle. So that's my realignment. What do you guys think about the American League?
I agree again 100% with Portland here, because also, again, you bring up any map here, and it's funny, like, kind of like Jeff Francoeur in any stat sheet, the Mariners are just kind of off on their own. Here, you want to look at the one that's really far away from everyone else? Boom, it's the Mariners. Yes, with a John Boyce reference. But no, I really like the idea on that here still. So, yeah, that gets their approval from me.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with Alex that Portland and Seattle's important to generate that rivalry. And Seattle's the team that's really screwed travel-wise. This is like perks of being in the Pacific Northwest. You're not near anyone, I guess. This is the same thing the Seahawks deal with, the same thing the Blazers deal with, the same thing the Mariners deal with every year. While you have teams like Cincinnati, like the Bengals, you could literally play a London game and they would still be like 28th in the league in traveling. So I agree there. And I agree with your keeping the AL and NL the same.
All right, well, Splash, why don't you show us your idea?
All right, folks, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, it's actually pretty similar to the ESPN idea. So I have so Seattle, Portland, the A's, and Arizona in that little like corridor, and then San Francisco, both LA teams, and San Diego. Then the quartet in the middle, you got to keep the Texas teams together. Colorado and Kansas City. I don't love having Kansas City and St. Louis be in separate divisions because they are in the same state. But, that's just geographical quirks here. The theoretical Nashville team, although this does apply to Charlotte as well. So if you wanted to go with the Charlotte team or a Nashville team, either of those work. Atlanta, Tampa, Miami in that little southern group. Again, that's one that works geographically only. St. Louis, Chicago, both Chicagos, and Minnesota. I have then Milwaukee, Detroit, Cleveland, Cincinnati. In another division, Toronto, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Washington. And then to wrap up, you have the Big Boppers, Philly, both New York teams, and Boston. I don't mind doing it non-geographically, but historically, Major League Baseball has been AL East, AL West, NL East, NL West. And now you have the the central divisions post 95. So there's that. So not a whole lot of changes from the ESPN proposal. Just I have the Twins in with the Cubs and White Sox, Cardinals, and I have the Reds in with Chicago, with Cleveland, Detroit, Milwaukee. So a couple of changes there, but nothing too crazy, I would say.
So I do have a question for you guys that I thought of, and I know I mentioned it earlier, but how would you guys format the playoffs now with 32 teams?
So, okay, I'll take this first if you want, Splash.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So for me, I think what I would do at this is that you're still going to have the division leader from both sides here. But I think at that point, then you could go back, you could have what we already do, go down to 2 wild cards. You still have the same amount of playoffs, and the format is exactly the same here. And I'm okay with the idea of putting in more, but at the same time, think about this for just a second, right? So currently, as we have it right now, you have 8 teams. Oh, sorry, no, math.
12.
You still have 6 teams on either side. 12 teams out of 30 Major League Baseball teams is just under half by a couple here. So I think you still want to make it still exclusive enough to make it to the postseason. And I think that by adding in 2, you shouldn't add in 2 more playoff teams here. So just do it this way to where you can still have every division winner gets in, rank them based on wins, and then take the next top 2. I think that will work just fine.
Yeah, so I'm between having sticking with 6 or expanding to 8. That's my thing. And I know that Manfred kind of hinted that he does want to expand the playoffs a little bit. And I think, honestly, if you add 2 more teams, it wouldn't hurt to make it 8. In my opinion, if we were to go to 8, it would probably be the top 4, obviously the what's it called? The 4 division winners. And then I think the 4 wild cards, I guess. I know 4 wild cards sounds like a lot now that I just say it. Mm-hmm. But it'd be one of those things where the top 2 teams, and I know this would extend the playoffs too, and maybe this would mean dialing back the regular season, but it extend the playoffs probably until the middle of November or something, which would mean the top 2 teams in each league get a bye, and then the middle 6, or I guess the 3 to 8 seeds would play best of 3 to get to the LDS. That's just my thinking. I realize the math is not mathing at all now that I think about it.
The math is having.
Sorry, the top 4 teams would get buys, and then from there, that still doesn't work. You know what?
Yeah, that still doesn't work.
I'm almost starting to think that maybe we should just stick with the 6.
Yeah,
that's I call it the Buffalo Bills. Add in the 7 seed, man.
Honestly, it wouldn't be a terrible idea to add the 7 seed. It would just, I mean, I don't know how it would work with who gets buys and whatnot.
All right,
just the 1 seed. You have the best record in your league, you get a buy.
You get okay.
Here's the thing: is I actually would go even weirder with it or dumber with it. I'd have no buys at that point. Like,
Not a
put
terrible
everyone
idea.
on the same playing field, and you match up via seeds.
That's how
You know,
the
the
NBA
one
does
seed-
it.
Yeah, you match up the 1 seed versus the 8 seed, 2v7, 3v6, and 4v5. And you build the bracket from there. Like, at that point, you can just... I actually like the idea of having no buys, too, because, like, you're playing for now just a better spot here, wins and losses wise. So, and at that point, heck, if you really wanted to get probably a little bit stupid with it, take out the idea that a division winner can have a higher seed with a lower record. Here, so like say if you have a wild card team that has a higher record or better record than the last division winner, then they could be the 4 seed and the division winner would be the 5. I think that way you could at least still make it work, because then you still have the playoffs as being the true competition where the seeding still very much matters here.
You know, honestly, the way now that I think about it, I think if we go to 8 teams, you don't necessarily need buys. Now my question would be in that first round, best of 3 or best of 5. That's
3.
like, I mean, I sort of am leaning best of 3 too. Great, because again, you want to still sort of keep that, keep the schedule from extending too deep into the year. Like, at that point, it is sort of like, we see it in the NBA where the playoffs start in April and they end in June.
It's also fun for me.
It is fun, yes.
It's fun, the idea of like, okay, you have the 1 seed versus the 8 seed. Who has more pressure at that point?
Yep.
The 1 seed has a ton of pressure, because if you lose one series, just a regular series, best 2 out of 3, to the 8th seed, you were the World Series favorite, and now you didn't even make it out of the first round here. Whereas if you're the 8th seed, you're just happy to be there. And now you can play some major spoiler, and you will then become the Cinderella of the tournament. Very a la March Madness.
Yeah, no, I like that thought actually a lot.
And I do think that would happen considerably more often than it does in the NBA. Like, you can count on less than one hand the number of times the 8 seeds advanced, like, to even the conference finals. Like, you have the Heat did it a couple years ago. They made it to the finals. The 99 Knicks in the lockout season made it to the finals. But in baseball, you especially the condensed series, you're going to have some chaos. So if we were to have the 32 or 8 teams in the playoffs this year, the extra wildcard teams, now granted, this doesn't include any expansion teams. That means Cleveland and Kansas City would make it in the American League to get to 8. And in the National League, Reds and Cardinals would get in. Cool. Unfortunately, my Braves would be out. They're not even listed on Baseball Reference as having a chance here.
Ouch.
So yeah, that one hurts. And neither are my beloved A's. That was not a great prediction. They do bang, but they can't pitch, unfortunately.
Bang.
They have a 107 OPS plus as a team. I can say they bang. They bang. Okay. Anyways, Alex, I heard through the grapevine that you have a certain trivia segment for us.
I do have trivia, and I lied to you. I don't have trivia. I have a game for you guys.
Let's go.
So this does not require a whole lot of knowledge. This is a mental psychological game here that I call You Don't Say. Because I don't want you to say the same thing as me. I have in front of me 10 prompts here that range in the number of options that there can be an answer for. I've already answered all of these here on my little sticky note here. And I'm going to ask each of you to give me an answer. Your answers do not depend on each other. You can say the same answer if you guys would like here, but I don't know if you guys would want to. But yeah, maybe. But if you say the same answer that I have written on my it's like on my sticky note here, you lose a point here. So it's going to be whoever is closest to 0 will be the winner of this game. And mind you, the choices as we go further down are going to get much, much more limited. So I'm going to give you an example to make sure you guys understand how this goes. Let's say, name me a player that has ever hit 600 home runs in their career. If let's say Splash, you said Babe Ruth, right? And Mac said Ken Griffey Jr. And I said Ken Griffey Jr. Mac would lose the point here and would go to -1. Or if we want to make it easier, we could just do like 10 and go down to 0. But it doesn't really matter. You just don't want to say the same thing that I do.
Okay.
Okay? Does that all make sense to both y'all?
I think so.
All right. Also, if you guys have a better name for what this can be, then please tell me at some point. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we're going to start off with number 1, where there's a lot of options to work with here. I want you to name me a player on the Chicago White Sox this year.
Oh.
Okay.
I should also say that all of these are 2025 except for 2. And I will make it very clear which ones those are.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
I'll go. Chase Mydroth.
Chase Mydroth. Okay. Mac?
Steven Wilson.
Okay, cool. My answer was Cam Bouger. So you guys are both safe.
Okay, great.
All right. Now, you can start to see how this is going. All right. Now I want you each to name me a team in the National League. In the current NL, I should say.
Okay.
All right.
I'll name a team, the Padres.
Padres?
I'm going to go with the Chicago Cubs.
Mac is the first to lose a point. I said the Padres.
Oh, wow. Cooked.
Get absolutely a cookhead. So, Mac, you currently are at -1. All right. Boys, I want you to name a pitcher that this season currently has an ERA of under 3 with at least 20 starts.
Oh, okay.
There's actually a good handful of them.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go with Christopher Sanchez.
Christopher Sanchez. Okay. Mac.
Do you just say in Major League Baseball, right?
Yeah, just in Major League Baseball. Yeah.
Oh God. Hunter Brown.
Okay, cool. You're both safe. I said Matthew Boyd.
Mm.
Oh wow. Okay.
I narrowly avoided that one.
Yeah, I could see the gears turning on that one for you. All right.
Okay.
Next one here. Name a stat about defense we use for defensive fielders. So to be clear, defensive does not mean pitching either. We're talking about ball is hit. What stats do we talk about here in regards to defense?
Okay. Is this just like anything that's on Fangraphs or baseball?
Just a stat. Like you don't need the number, the category stat. Like
ultimate zone rating.
Ultimate zone rating. Okay.
Fielding percentage.
Okay, cool. It was errors I had, so you're both safe.
Oh, thank God.
Okay.
I almost said error.
I really wanted to make you guys overthink, so I'm glad I did my job on that one.
Oh, man.
Okay, you guys. I want you each to name a qualified hitter that is batting 300 or higher.
Oh, I hope he's still batting 300 still. Jonathan Aranda.
Jonathan Aranda. Okay. Mac?
Batting above 300, that is slim pickings.
Trust me.
Baseball Twitter knows. I promise you that.
God.
This may or may not have been inspired after you sent a tweet about not Guyani.
Dude, I am. Oh my God, I am.
I will say also, if you give an answer that is incorrect, you do lose a point as well.
Oh God, I don't even know who's still batting above 300. That's the tough part.
I understand that.
I don't know. I'm probably going to go with the wrong answer here. And I don't even know if he's still qualified. Aaron Judge.
Okay, well. Back, you're at -2. I said Aaron
God
Judge.
Damn it.
Well. Aaron Judge is still qualified. He's batting 333. Jonathan Aranda
I'm going to fact check,
316.
make sure Aranda. Okay, he's hitting 316. We're
316. Yep, don't worry. I'd fact check. I almost said Aranda when I was putting this together, but I wanted to say to you guys as well, reminder for you both that you're not trying to find the most obscure answer. You're just trying to find the answer that I didn't go with.
Yeah. Okay.
So
we're good.
So now we're going to go to the next one here, which I wanted to make sure I included both of your teams in this. So, guys, I want you to name me an Atlanta Braves starting pitcher with double-digit games started.
Oh God.
Oh God. Again, slim
I gotta
pickings.
tell you, there's only 4.
All right.
All right. Splash, I want you to go first on this one.
All right. You can give me the -1 for Bryce Elder.
Okay. God, did this guy even make double-digit starts? God,
If Bryce Elder hasn't made 10 starts, I don't know what math is anymore. That man has ruined too many of my days.
All right, I'll probably take an L here because I don't know if he made 10 starts. Grant Holmes.
Okay. So, let me double check. Okay, you said Bryce Elder and Grant Holmes.
Correct.
So, both of them have, in fact, made double-digit starts.
Okay.
Here, in fact, the one that Splash said is actually number 1 on that. But I said Chris Sale, so you guys are fine.
Okay.
All right.
I wasn't even sure if he made it to freaking 10
All right,
starts.
guys. Now let's go to Mac's team. Name me a Met who was an All-Star this year.
Sorry, you said name a Met who is an All-Star this year.
There's only 4.
I know. I'll go first here.
Actually, this is even better that I don't have face cam anymore for this. You can't see my poo face eating grin right now as I'm watching you guys.
Oh God. Okay. I'll go with the guy who pitched tonight, and please God, this better not be the match. David Peterson.
Okay, Splash.
Francisco Lindor.
You're both safe. I said Edwin Diaz.
I had a feeling you put Edwin Diaz.
Okay.
So here's the thing: is I don't want to make you all think I'm just going Mariners, but yeah, that one I chose to. All right, I want you. This is one of the ones that's not 2025 specific. I want you to name me a baseball player, past or present, that has also played another sport professionally. Of the big 4 sports, I should say.
Okay.
Like you can't say like bowling.
How high of a level? So they had to play Major League Baseball
They had to play,
and then
play Major League Baseball and the highest level of
another
that sport.
Okay. I want to say one guy, but I don't remember if he actually made the majors or if he just was like a AAA guy.
I mean, you can definitely take that risk.
That is true.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Actually, I'm going to go with Mr. Groin himself, Brian Jordan.
Brian Jordan. What
Nice.
position? What did he play?
Outfield for the Braves and Cardinals, safety for the Falcons.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
And I'll go with the one guy to pitch a shutout in the majors while also playing in the NBA. I'm going with Dave DeBusschere.
Okay, yeah, you guys both safe. I went with Bo Jackson.
I had a feeling you.
I wanted to go with the fun one on that one.
Okay, and Danny Ainge, to be clear, if you were thinking
Danny
about
Ainge,
him, does count. I didn't
he
realize
plays the majors, right?
Yes.
All right. So, fellas, we've gotten to the point of this game where you do not have a whole lot of options to work with.
Okay.
Name me a player who was acquired by the Seattle Mariners at the 2025 trade deadline within the 2 weeks of the deadline. There are 3 of them.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, repeat that.
So I want you to name me a player who was acquired by the Seattle Mariners at the 2025 trade deadline within a week and a half, 2 weeks of the actual deadline itself.
All right.
Acquired from another player via trade.
Okay. I can go first, or do you want Mac to go first?
Go
first. Josh Naylor.
Caleb Ferguson.
Splash has finally lost a point. I had said Josh Naylor.
I had a feeling you were going to go with either Naylor or Suarez.
Yeah, I wanted to say Ferguson just to be funny. But again, mind games are funny. And the one that truly makes me a horrible human being. I want you guys to name me a player that went by the name of Ken Griffey.
What the heck, man?
Ooh.
Coin flip. Did I say junior or did I say senior?
Dude. Okay. I could just choose the same one as Mac and clinch it up.
You can, but that sounds really cowardly.
All right, I'm gonna go junior.
You're gonna go junior, Mac.
Go senior then, I guess.
Not go the same one, so you want to go senior, right?
Yeah, I'll go with senior. Okay. It sounds like an L.
fellas, we have reached the tiebreaker as Splash got it.
Oh.
I said Ken Griffey Jr.
Okay,
You guys are both at -2. I knew that somehow we were going to get to this. So I have the best way to do a tiebreaker. I want you guys to pick a number between 1 and 4. And I have my answer.
Just pick a number.
Pick a number between 1 and 4.
2.
2.
3.
Splash, you guessed my number. So, Mac, you are today's winner.
No!
Oh my
A
goodness.
behind win.
Never lost.
That's
GG's.
That was
GG's.
a beautiful comeback there for you, Mac. But good games to you guys.
Yeah, that was that was fun. Wow.
Look, I love the psychological warfare you guys are having with yourselves to see what did Alex say? What did Alex say? Oh, that was beautiful.
Okay.
We
GG's.
will definitely be doing this again at some point.
Yeah. Well, one thing we do on every show is our time to ourselves. Would someone like to go first?
I'd like to go first today.
All right, Alex,
Go
you
ahead.
have 3, 2, 1.
For the people now on the YouTube, now you get to see just screen talking. So that's fun. Okay. I am a huge Nintendo nerd, as people know. And the announcement today of Kirby Air Riders here, the direct, I should say, it's already been announced. I don't remember the last time I was as hyped for a game to come out after watching any amount of presentation on it as I was for Kirby Air Riders. So, like, don't get me wrong, Pokemon Legends Arceus was amazing. I felt really good about that. I felt less anxious about ZA. But watching Masahiro Sakurai, or as I lovingly refer to him as the Mashed Potato Samurai, watching him talk about Air Riders and how much love and how much was put into the game here on this legitimately made my heart just feel light. It felt amazing. I felt excited. Here, it comes out on November 20th, and I'm still debating, do I want to go digital or try to get a physical copy? I think I might want to go physical on this one. But, man, I loved Kirby Air Ride growing up. Here, that was one of my favorite. It's still in my top 10 games of all time. And so seeing that we get a sequel of it and seeing that it actually looks like it's going to live up to the hype of it is beautiful. The fact that they're making City Trial actually the main focus as opposed to just a funny racing game with Kirby, like, that is incredible here. And I've spent countless hours. It's legitimately close between how much time I have spent playing City Trial in Kirby Air Ride as I have to playing Success Mode in MLB Power Bros. 2008. The time is actually, like, comparable at that. So I want so desperately that this game is going to work. I think it will work here. I'm just so dang excited, and it made wake you up at 5:45 in the morning worth it.
There you go.
Right.
Mac, would you like to go or?
I'm still gathering my thoughts. You can go first.
Sure. All right. Count me down, fellas.
Your time begins in 3, 2, 1, begin.
Hello, folks. Jim Nance, yada, yada. Football is almost here. I'm very excited. I'm excited for college football. Farmageddon, Kansas State, Iowa State on Saturday in Dublin. 2 top 25 teams. So that's thrilling. So I don't know how long I'll be into college football. Sometimes I have ebbs and flows, like I'm always an NFL fan, always a baseball fan, but college football can come in and out depending on the year, I guess. And it's not even like a Boise State dependent thing, to be honest with you, because sometimes Boise State has really good teams and I just don't really, it can be hard to watch. Or in college, I really didn't watch a whole lot of college football given the time difference. So it's like 9 a.m. noon kickoff. It's like, that sucks, right? So I'd have to, like, Ohio State, Michigan was played at 9 a.m. Arizona time. That's hard for a college student to wake up for when you're, cruising through finals and preparing and whatnot at that, like, late in November. So I'm excited for college football. Hopefully it's a good season. I do have some sleepers, so if you want to lose money, you can bet on these teams. I like Duke in the ACC. I think the defense is particularly special. They have a transfer from Tulane, I think, at quarterback. So who knows on that regard, but I know they'll be really good defensively. In the Big 12, I'm rooting for Texas Tech. All the oil money, I hope it goes well. Honestly, I know they just lost their transfer running back to a season-ending injury, so that sucks. But hopefully they can bounce back. Hopefully they have a good year, and we get a Crabtree 2.0 type game against Texas. In the SEC, South Carolina, they're not really on. They're not really a sleeper. They're like often ranked. Lenora Sellers is a spectacular athlete. I'm excited to watch him play. Hopefully Nick Harbor, the wide receiver, figures it out because he might be the best athlete in college football. Unfortunately, he probably has a better chance of playing edge than he does playing wide receiver. And then in the Big Ten, yes, that's the remaining conference. Illinois, I think they have a particularly strong defense. Hopefully, again, the quarterback, you get that situated. But I like the defense there. They play Duke week 2 or week 3, so that should be a really fun game. Unfortunately, one of my teams will get blown up in that game. One of my rooting interests this season. And then, of course, my beloved Boise State Broncos, who are probably the best group of 5 team, but with no Ashton Genty, the ceiling and floor are severely diminished. It is probably a better team through the rest of the roster than it was last season, just with the development of guys like Maddox Madsen, and they have Jaden Virgin Morgan back. Ahmed Hassanin, he's into the NFL now, 6th-round pick by the Lions. So you lose probably your best offensive and defensive players, but I think the rest of the team around them is probably a little bit better, similar to 2011 Butler, the basketball team with no Gordon Hayward. So I'm cautiously optimistic they'll be good this season. They won't host they won't quote unquote host a playoff game this year because they're not going to be a top 4 seed. But maybe they'll be the 11 seed or the 12 seed, and I could maybe go to a playoff game like in Athens, Georgia, or in a Neyland Stadium in Tennessee or Columbus or something like that. That could be fun. So there we go.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Lenora Sellers because I remember when he committed to Syracuse. And then all of a sudden flipped his commitment. We were not particularly thrilled when he flipped his commitment, but in retrospect, I mean, it was the right decision for him. I'm excited for college football at least. Speaking of the NFL, though, I'm going to a preseason game on Thursday at MetLife Stadium. I'm going to the Giants-Pats preseason finale, so that sounds like it'll be a swell time. Tickets were dirt cheap, so that's why I'm going.
All right. Well, I'll count you down there, Mac.
All right, great.
3, 2, 1.
So Splash's thing got me thinking a little bit because Syracuse just decided on their starting quarterback. It's going to be Stephen Jelly, the transfer from Notre Dame. And the tough thing here is that he beat out another transfer, Ricky Collins, transferred back in the winter from LSU. And now we're at this awkward point where now what does Ricky do? Is he going to hit the transfer portal now because he's not going to be starting? What happens, say, Ricky enters the transfer portal and then Angeli has sort of a rocky start. I have high hopes for Syracuse. I think that, Angeli is another guy who, he's from New Jersey. Fran Brown has known him forever. He was, he's from Westville, New Jersey. He went to Bergen Catholic. So he's a local guy for Fran. And I think Ricky Collins is also a super talented quarterback, but if we're looking at, who's had some success on the playoff stage, I guess, you go to Angeli because, he had a good drive in that playoff game against Penn State that eventually, he didn't stay on the field in the second half, but they ended up winning and advancing to the national championship game. So I think this is an exciting time to be a Syracuse fan. I said that last year. I know that we don't have Kyle McCord entering this year, but I have full faith in this coaching staff and this roster. I think it's super popular. I think it's definitely a positive direction. And as much as I'm going to miss watching Trevor Pena, I think college football season, it's been a while since I've been this excited for college football. Last year, I was really excited to watch Kyle McCord. This year, I think Syracuse football is going to be really fun to watch again. And it's going to be, I'll be tuning in for opening week. I'll probably be tuning in every week, which is, I'd say I've almost watched Syracuse football more since I graduated than I did when I was actually in grad school. That's just a sign of the direction this program is headed in.
Yeah, absolutely. Fun team last year. Kyle McCord led the nation in passing yards.
He was really good, and he is now, I guess, he's competing for the third string quarterback job on his hometown Philadelphia Eagles.
All right, any Heisman predictions, fellas, or national championship predictions?
It's hard to do that. I feel like, but
Fair.
I feel like we're not going to get a repeat. I'll tell you that much. I don't think Ohio State's going to repeat.
Yeah, they are starting a freshman quarterback. I know it's his first year starting.
So, yeah.
But he does get to throw to Jeremiah Smith, so there's positives.
Yeah. I'm gonna take my character pick here and say Washington State somehow finds a way to go perfect. So
okay,
that would be crazy.
That would be lit.
That would be incredible.
All right,
and our Heisman candidate is gonna be our kicker because funny
based.
Yes.
Did you guys know that Brad Maynard, known punter, won MAC Defensive Player of the Year in 1995?
That's impossible.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So before that, it was kickers counted as offensive players and punters counted as defensive players. Yeah, he was so good punting for Ball State that he won Defensive Player of the Year. And they changed the rules, so they just came into like a Player of the Year as opposed to offensive or defensive. So, anyways, we leave you with punter stats. Congratulations! If you stuck to the end of this video, the end of this podcast, you learned something new today. What else you can learn? We have a Twitter at LAR_baseball. We have a YouTube page at LAR_baseball or Losses Above Replacement. You can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Splashman19. You can follow Mac on Twitter at Mathias_A_K. You can follow Alex on Twitter at TheSportsGuy242. And for all of us at Losses Above Replacement, see you next week. Peace.